At first blush, Yooka-Laylee is surprisingly tedious. I'm Seaniccus, and this is First Blush, a new unscripted gaming comment show that I just kind of made up on the spot today because I wanted to talk about Yooka-Laylee. This game just came out today, and it's kind of been something people have been anticipating for a long time. If you're not familiar, Yooka-Laylee is sort of a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, one of the most iconic 3D platformer collectathon type games in the Nintendo 64 generation. And the N64 was one of the most important consoles of my gaming adolescence. So naturally, I've been kind of excited to see this genre come back in some way. Unfortunately, it doesn't really live up to my expectations. And that's a problem, because my expectations for Yooka-Laylee were really low. I recognize Banjo-Kazooie as one of the most important games of its genre, but I'm not actually a huge fan with a lot of nostalgia for it. I played bits and pieces of it here and there, and what I played was great. It's obvious why the game is considered such a classic, but I never owned it. Still, with the strong pedigree of so many developers from Banjo-Kazooie working on Yooka-Laylee, I had moderate hopes this would be a really good game. And truth be told, I've only played maybe 2 hours of it, so I don't have a lot to go on. But if that short playtime is any indication, Yooka-Laylee's not really off to the best start. If I were to hazard a guess, I'd say it's because a lot of the elements that are identifiable as Banjo-Kazooie things are here, but they're not really evenly or expertly applied. Take the characters' voices, for example. Banjo-Kazooie's character have a distinctive style of sort of making mumbly sounds that make up the background noise of their voice. This is because in the Nintendo 64 days you couldn't fully voice characters, so you have a voice where they say specific syllables repeated, and it lends them an underlying text sound. This is similar to old RPGs where when the text scrolled across a screen you would get sort of a little pixel noise in different tones, indicating that a character was talking if they had a high-pitch or low-pitch voice. Using repeatable particle syllables in the original Banjo-Kazooie games was a great way to simulate this and give it a little bit more voice. Unfortunately, in Yooka-Laylee, pretty much all of the characters' voice mumbles are way more annoying than ever in the Banjo games. And for the most part, this isn't even choice of actor. It's that the voice volume is either too high, or the syllable mumbles cut off halfway through their own syllables. This means every time your main hero Yooka talks, it's this grating, annoying voice instead of an endearing one that you want to be nostalgic and in love with. The little bat Laylee is okay and almost cute with her tiny voice, and some of the side characters like the Bones are, but for the most part the Snake, this N64 dinosaur, and the main villains just all sound awful and grating, and that's the first thing you experience when the game starts. And to be honest, this is like 40% of what upset me about playing this game for the first 2 hours. There's no way to turn down the audio of just the voices so you can have a less loud version of that experience, or turn it off altogether. You either turn all the sound effects down, or none of them. Beyond that, the entire intro of the game just starts out really slow. Not a lot entertaining happens in the first few minutes, and the story just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. And when you do get to your playable characters, you can't really play them right away. It's just kind of a slogging intro tutorial. There's really almost no such thing as a good tutorial, but this one did a couple of things that really frustrated me. Well, one thing in specific. When the game finally shows you the first main collectible that you're out to get, it's in this big open room. It's on top of the tallest thing in the room, and obviously you're going to have to find some platforms to jump on to get to that piece. But instead of just leaving you to it, the game's camera literally flies through the level and shows you the exact path you need to take to get that collectible. This completely killed any urge I had to explore the room or solve the puzzle for myself. Here's the first puzzle of the game. No adventure, no exploring, just connect the dots, paint by numbers gameplay, do what we say, that's how it goes. And to be fair, this doesn't seem to be a theme that the game is going to continue to do as you go on, but it does it again within the next 5 minutes, showing you the exact path you need to walk and takes that path all the way to your goal, showing you exactly where that goal is, gutting the experience of finding that goal for yourself. This was a really deflating experience for me. The first few minutes were so handheld that the game didn't trust me to do a simple thing like walk up the only available path in the game. It's worsened by the fact that this tutorial that's leading me exactly to the goal, there's nowhere else I could have gone even if it let me do it on my own. I know, this sounds really pedantic and childish and not really that professional of me, but it took 20 minutes to get through this tutorial, get into the first world, and get my first collectible on my own. And during that entire 20-minute time, I didn't have any fun at all. I'd feel worse about these complaints if I hadn't specifically gone back and played Banjo-Kazooie right afterwards just to make sure I wasn't crazy. In Banjo-Kazooie, you're out with your abilities within 5 minutes of starting the game. You get a simple, concise story, you have a mole that pops up and can give you the option to go through a tutorial or not to, and then bam, you're out in the world exploring it. And there's no hand-holding. You just wander around until you find the door, which is clearly marked because there's not many other places you can go, and then when you get to the first painting, or the first jigsaw puzzle, it says, hey, you need a jigsaw piece, it's nearby, why don't you go find it? It doesn't handhold you, it just says, here you are. And I know Banjo-Kazooie is a great game, and it's a pretty high bar for me to ask Yooka-Laylee to leap over. Now that isn't to say there isn't a lot of great stuff about Yooka-Laylee. I adore these character designs, and the worlds are lush and beautiful and creative. A lot of the music is really catchy, and in spite of what looks like a weak first entry on first impression, I really hope this gets picked up because Yooka-Laylee could become an awesome franchise. The strength of this game doesn't even matter. Great world and character design can go far, and I don't just mean the principal characters. Trouser Snake is hilarious. And take a look at the villain's face. This is a model you could have ripped straight out of a DreamWorks movie. I love it. I just don't want to play it. Because to invoke the name of this show I just made up, at first blush, Yooka-Laylee gets off to a slow, tedious start, and it just doesn't seem to recover from that, at least not in the first few hours. If you're really jonesing for a brand new collectathon, it might satisfy you. But if you want to play a really good one, maybe just go back to Banjo-Kazooie. Sometimes lightning doesn't strike twice, even with members of the original team. That's it for this experimental new show that I'm calling First Blush, because First Impressions was taken. If you liked it, please let me know in the comments, hit me up on Twitter, or send me hate mail. You can do that at youtube@Seaniccus.com, or in all those comments that happen on YouTube below. If you really liked the beginning of this game and totally dug it, hey man, don't get harsh by my opinion. Like the hell out of it and have a great time. I'm just a guy with editing software and a microphone. What does my opinion matter? Until next time, take it easy, Internet.